So, good morning everybody. A very warm welcome to the ITB CSR Day. I'm Rika Jean-Francois and I'm from ITB, from Messe Berlin, and we are very happy to have put sustainability into the program of the whole ITB. You know, this year is the year of sustainable tourism for development, and this is, of course, for me, especially being the Commissioner for CSR, a very, very happy, I'm very, very happy that it finally happens. But, you know, we all know that sustainable development goals, we all have to do something. We are talking about it. Yesterday, the Ministry of Tourism, the Ministry of Development had a very nice session on it. So there are a lot of things going on. But what I believe is that we have to do more. We just don't need to celebrate the year, but we have to start taking action. This is what it's all about. And having this CSR Day is one step, I believe, into the right direction, because there are players from all the supply chain as well of tourism, and we have to get everybody into the boat. So I'm very happy, for instance, to have Metro today being our main sponsor, because, you know, they belong to the tourism supply chain and they also stand in for change. They want to change the supply chain in that way that there is sustainable food, that we will use local ingredients. And this is very important that we reach everybody, because I really believe in a holistic approach if we talk about sustainability and responsibility. So the CSR Day is, as always, a mosaic. We talk about sustainable ecotourism development and destinations. We talk about new luxury. We talk about food, as we will also do in the Destination Day 3 today at 3 o'clock. Also, again, food will be one of the big themes to be discussed. And it's a very interesting day, because we talk about all the subjects which are involved. And at the end, we will even have a debate, which is also very good, because there are some people who still don't believe in climate change. So we want to get all the people into the boat. We want to, I want to persuade everybody that it's really time to do something, that we all have to stand up. And I think it's very good to have you here in the morning. Everybody's ready to get up, to do something, to work on it, because if we don't do anything now, there won't be any tourism anymore, because if there is no protection of the environment and no social responsibility, tourism will die as well. And if we look at the world as it is now, it is still disruptive. You know, we still have the war, we still have refugees, we still have violations of human rights. But we can do something. We are a positive industry, and we have the possibility to make the world a better place. It has been said very, very often, but that's why I'm so happy that today we will work on it. We will create awareness once again. We will get educated. We will learn from each other, and we won't accept any alternative facts, I believe. Thank you.
Thank you, Rika. A very warm welcome even from me. As you will see if you look around, it's the year of disruptive travel in many different dimensions. I hope we'll gain in audience over time. When I was here last year, I was pretty certain that the issue of sustainable development would gain in the world. I think we have learned that there's different directions now. I'm still happy to say that we now have a global climate agreement, and that is also the reason why today we will talk in particular about climate change as one major issue. I want to thank our sponsors of today. There's a range. There's Slovenia, there's the World Tourism Cities Federation, there is the German Ministry of Economic Cooperation and Development, and there is the Ministry for Culture and Tourism of the Republic of Turkey. And, of course, there is Metro. And that will be our first event today, which I'm particularly happy to introduce. Just before we start, you all know there is one question that is directed at the audience, that is you. We would like to know how you feel about one question that we've set up. It's coming up here. Please don't vote as yet. I will tell you in a second how to vote. The question is, how important is sustainable food, and what role do global retail groups like Metro play in the switch to sustainable foods? And there's three possible answers. The first one is foods are important, and global retail groups like Metro play a big role in the transition to sustainable foods. There's number two, it's important, but global retail groups like Metro don't play an important role. And the last one is, I don't feel that sustainable foods have a major importance at all. So before you vote, next to you on your seat, you will find a tiny device. And we'll now go through the three questions, and then I will ask you to vote for either 1, 2, or 3. And when I've told you to do so, you can press the button and indicate your choice. So I hope you'll all have found your little device. And how many of you would think that, one, it's important that global retail groups like Metro play a big role in the transition to sustainable foods is the right answer? Please vote now. Then question number 2. Important, but global retail groups like Metro don't play a big role. Please vote now. And question number 3 is less important. Yes. All right. We had a little miscommunication here. It's a different system this year. I apologize for this. I think we have to restart. And do I understand this correctly? You can vote for all 3 options at the same time. Okay, I'm sorry for this. That is much more time efficient, and we don't want to waste time here today. Please vote now for either 3, 2, or 1. All right. That is, I believe, statistically significant. 75% of you believe that big retail players have an important role in the transition to more sustainable food. There's not much more I can say rather than foods are one of the most important aspects of sustainability. They are related to climate change, to energy consumption, to water use, to land use, to global trade. There could hardly be any issue that is more relevant for sustainable development. And it's thus with great pleasure that we have a CAO today here to speak to us, who is the head of one of the largest retailers that we have in Germany, and it's internationally, Metro Group has 220,000 employees. It's my pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Koch. Thank you for being here today.
Yeah, good morning. And I'm glad that you have voted like you did, because otherwise I would need to have to convince you about a lot of things, and I hope I can still with my presentation today. So it's a pleasure to be here. It was more cumbersome to get here, honestly, as I thought, but I made it, and I'm glad to talk to you today about Metro, and Metro, a company which is undergoing significant change. So thank you for the kind introduction. In fact, we are splitting the company, some of you might know. We have been a conglomerate of diverse formats, and we are heading up for a new future where we're going to focus one part completely on the food side, and the consumer electronics parts is going to be independent. And therefore, it's worthwhile to explain to you who will be the new Metro. The new Metro will be those 2 core brands who represent wholesale. That's Metro and Makro, well known in more than 25 countries. We have, on the other side, more and more activity on food service distribution, so we are delivering product directly to our customers. because they are demanding that service, which is one of the fastest growing sectors we are in. We are more and more investing into digital tools, and I will explain you why that makes sense for sustainability. And then, yes, we are the operator of one of the largest food retail formats also in Germany called Real. The company is going to be big. It's not going to be that small even after the split. 37 billion in sales, out of which the predominant part is going to be wholesale. And I will stress wholesale because that plays a more significant role towards also the topic of sustainability. We generate 1.8 billion EBITDA in a normal year, in a regular year, so also this is a significant number. And we are very diverse in regard of nationalities. We are running 1/3 of our revenues in Germany, 2/3 in Western, Eastern Europe, and growing very fast in Asia. Now the key question when you ask what is a company is for us is the question, what do you stand for? What's the purpose of what you do? And you could say, well, generate profit, try to get revenues up, try to maximize transactions. For us, that is an outcome. That's not the purpose. The purpose we are truly believing is driving value is to work for those many individuals who are on that chart. Because they are the everyday heroes serving end consumers, the SMEs, the small and medium-sized enterprises, those who run a cafe, a restaurant, a hotel, those who run a pub, a small grocery store. So the SME community is the one we serve. And we have an aspiration to make them more sustainable. First of all, economically, but I will tell you later on also in regard of their environmental role they play, and they play a significant role. I'll show you in a minute. How do we do that? Well, we do that with a passion for what they do. And that means we relentlessly want to understand more and learn more on what they do, how they do, and where they can improve. What are their needs? And what are the needs that will come that they might not even know today that they have? This means that our business is one that lives from relationships. We want to have proximity. We want to be close to our people meaning the customers. And that is the basis for our business. We do that by going the extra mile. We have a give-first mentality in the pure sense of the word, giving. That means we invest into our customers, and of course, we expect someday a reward for that. But the rule of thumb is you give first, and it's always good for business. That means as well that we want to go and not only sell product, but we want to sell expertise, knowledge. How can you run your small shop better? How can you improve your supply chain? How can you improve customer loyalty? That is actually more than providing product. And that means that it is a very simple rule of thumb within the metro business system that we only win when our customers win. And this is very, very easy to understand. If you go through the portfolio of Metro, you can see that immediately. Now, why am I stressing this wholesale factor? We are a B2B company. We are business to business. We are quite often, and that's normal, we are seen as a retail company, and we are compared with a Carrefour, a Tesco. Metro is something completely different. We are serving more than 80% of our turnover is business to business. Why is that relevant also for the discussion that we have today? Well, yes, we are one company. We are in 25 countries. We have 752 stores, more than 60 depots for food service distribution. We're in 29 megacities. That's impressive, but more impressive probably is we have 21 million actually active customers, 21 million active customers with a Metro card that buy with us. If you extrapolate that to the number of customers they have, we literally serve 1 billion people through them. And that's what matters when you talk about sustainability and the impact we also have, not directly, but also indirectly on the environment. So I cannot cover all the things we do. We do plenty of stuff, but I want to show you a couple of things we're doing to illustrate how intensive we are working to permanently improve our sustainability agenda. And I will talk about operations, I will talk about offer, I certainly will talk about people because that's the decisive success factor in our business. And then I will talk about innovation because I'm a true believer that innovation will be a catalyst for sustainability. Sounds a bit odd, I understand that, but I try to convince you at the very end of my presentation. So let's start with operations. It is clear that our operations should be more and more sustainable, should be taking care more and more about the environmental situation. What do we do there is we invest a significant amount of money every year, more than 30 million euros, to make our stores more sustainable. And we do that with photovoltaic, or we do that with combined heat power generation. And we do that with a quite significant impact, as you can see. We can cover 25% of the power demand of a store once we have installed such equipment. We can get actually 100% of the energy needed for the heating of those locations by those technologies we are using. We are reducing 300 tons of emissions by having introduced these technologies now across the portfolio of Metro, and that means we actually also save money. We have saved 4% of energy cost, and that in times when energy costs have not been declining but rising for various reasons is a significant impact. I tell you now that in this year we will have the first zero-emission store being opened in Austria in St. Pölten. It's going to be a zero carbon emission footprint store to be opened in the year 2017. Next thing on operations is shrinkage. Typically, if you trade, you will have some leftovers, right? And we continuously optimize that. We continuously optimize supply chain replenishment to make sure that the percentage of leftovers is minimal. And I can tell you, in most of our places, it's very, very small. A very, very small percentage. One digit is very small, sometimes even below 1%, because our supply chains have been industrialized to a high level of perfection. Still, we have leftovers. And then the question is, what do you do? Well, our choice is very clear. We give it to food banks. It's a non-profit approach that serves community, where we can help people who are in demand of food. Now, look at the left side down there. That is a solution that has been introduced 2 years ago in Metro France, to the favor of the consumers, of our customers, to the favor of our business customers. One of the biggest problems in hospitality is shrinkage. And there are two ways of shrinkage. One is the leftover on your stock. The other is the leftover of your customer because he did not consume the full dish. And that is actually a problem because you need to pay taxes for waste in many countries, meanwhile, for good reason. Now, Metro France came up with an idea which was delicate because you know doggy box, right? Everybody knows what a doggy box is. In many countries, a doggy box is, the most normal thing, and you would say, yeah, doggy box is fine. In France, probably that's not the most normal thing to ask for a doggy box. So the team there said, but you should consider, my fellow customers, to do the same. But let's do it in a more stylish way. So those are French doggy box. Le doggy box à la française. And what they do there is they come to the customer and say, Madame, didn't you like the food? And Madame might say, oh no, it was delicious. And said, why throwing it away? Can I give it to you to take it home? Because if you warm it up, it's still delicious tonight. That's the solution for the customer. It's a solution for the business operator because you reduce shrinkage. And those things sound very simple, but actually they are not as simple to be scaled because you need to change some habits and some business culture in that context. Another one example is collecting some of the disposables, the waste. In the context of what I said, that waste is being put on tax in many places, we start to collect in various entities the waste of our customers. And that's not only on glass, batteries or lamps, we also collect electronics, and we will extend that to aluminium and other spaces. This is a solution immediately for our customers, because they individually are suffering from this. We as a large business can handle this, and actually can make it at least break even, if not even a small margin, by bringing it into the recycling process. Let's talk about offer. Offer is, of course, the most relevant in a company that is focusing on hospitality and has such a large footprint on food. One of the, I think, key themes we have been promoting now for a long time is traceability. Because we truly believe that consumers have the right to understand, where does my product come from? When was it catched? When was it processed? And there's an app you can find in the App Store called ProTrace, where you can come into our business, and with ProTrace you will immediately see where does this product come from, and therefore have a chance to get all the knowledge, all the wisdom about the product itself, the date of catching, the date of processing. And we're doing that meanwhile for more than 700 fish products, and we are continuously expanding that range. So therefore, I would dare to say ProTrace is still at the beginning, but already has a very meaningful impact, and we are looking forward to roll it out into more and more and more places. One of the things that goes even further ahead is we all are aware that fish is a valuable species. We all are also aware that consumption of fish is mounting and mounting and mounting, with the risk that someday some oceans will have less and less fish around. So we are running the risk that in 10, 20, 30 years, the population of fish will be severely harmed. The program that we are supporting is a program of the World Ocean Network. It's called Mr. Good Fish. And what we're doing there is we are promoting our customers to pay attention to this trend, and therefore stop selling the fish which is in the spawning season, the time when they reproduce themselves. And consciously do that also as a marketing tool to your customers and say, I pay attention. I pay attention for all of us. And therefore, in a certain period of time, I'm not selling to you this product. So this is something we are promoting on top of what I mentioned before on the traceability. One thing is still very, very fast forward, but I believe it's going to be a mega trend. That's in indoor farming. So if you stay in Berlin because your plane might not leave today, Berlin, I have a great idea for you where you can go. There's a metro store in Friedrichshain, close to Alexanderplatz, and there you see this Infarm. Infarm is a company from Israel that has developed a technology how you can grow plants indoor. And you do this with LED lighting, you do that with a water cycle, and the water cycle, as you can see, leads to 10% water utilization, 90% less than the conventional. You have 70% less fertilizer, no pesticide, and you can grow as many plants as you can see over there. Actually, you can grow much more. And if you ever have a chance to taste one of these products, you will start to discover that taste is something different than you thought on many of those plants. So we have now 3 installations in our network. This is not the most profitable thing, I dare to say as well, but it's going to be one of the sustainable initiatives because we truly believe this is something where we can differentiate assortment and taste for hospitality. So chefs can benefit from products you will not get from elsewhere. And of course, this, by the way, is also a chance to bring plants to places where water is very scarce. And then, to conclude here, we have one program which is a long-term program. It started almost 10 years ago and is one of the reasons why Metro China is so competitive. In China, food quality is an issue, as we are all aware once in a while. And media coverage was very strong. Now, Metro has made a choice a few years ago to start a complete traceability program there as well, including a qualification and audit program. And as you can see, we are serving a lot of farmers to use this technology to provide to consumers absolute transparency how they grow plants, how they grow animals, how they process them, and also understand when have they been produced into the product you get on shelf. We do this with the ambition not only to install technology, but to provide wisdom. So you can see 20,000 farmers have been trained. And I dare to say, in Metro China, one of our key achievements certainly is that we have positioned Metro as an iconic authority of quality without any marginal degree of tolerance when it comes to quality discussion. Now, I could go on and on and on with other things. One of the initiatives Real is working on is permaculture. Those of you who are aware of permaculture, that takes care about the holistic environment process in making sure that every single element of the production, the soil, the environment, is kept in balance. And we are sourcing, meanwhile, hundreds of products that are produced in permaculture at Real, and we are the only ones in Germany, by the way, who do that today. Now let's go then to people. As I said, our business is 100% people. We are not running factories, we don't have a software code, we have no chemical formula. The success of Metro is defined by the 100,000 plus people. Therefore, people are the most important driver for change. And what we do is we have been training our people, we have been conducting various programs inside, but we also have very strict policies when it comes to how are people treated on the industry side. How are suppliers treating their people? And we have a very strict policy, and we also conduct regular audits to make sure that those policies are kept. We are doing a lot to create awareness. I tell you, the honest truth is, sustainability is not necessarily on top of mind when you think about making a solid business, because you think it always comes at additional cost. We conduct sustainability days. As you see, those are examples from many, many countries within the Metro portfolio, where we bring across that there is no contradiction between engaging in sustainability and making sensible business. And the evidence I've shown you is not only on cost savings, it's also on enhancing relationship with our suppliers, enhancing relationship with our customers, and therefore drive for a more profitable growth. We also have started in 2015 a program for sustainable leadership, a program where we invite selected leaders within Metro to go through a 1.5-year program where they get access to all these things in more detail, and then of course become the ambassadors within the organization to bring that message through all the executive levels and to the associate level. And now let's talk about innovation, because innovation, from my point of view, is going to be key for the next chapter of sustainability for Metro. And I just refer back to what I said earlier. We serve 21 million business customers, and they serve approximately probably 1 billion consumers. So the biggest impact we can make is by helping them to become more sustainable. Now, it is true that technology in some of our sectors, in the hospitality sector, has not the highest penetration on the SME level. The larger chains in hotels, food service, etc., already have invested quite a bit, but the SMEs didn't. Now, you might say, well, should I bother about them? Well, you should. The hotel, restaurants, and catering sector in Europe is represented by 1.8 million entrepreneurs. Some of them, hopefully, are also here on ITB, I'm sure they are. 1.8 million passionate, fully engaged business people. They represent more than 400 billion turnover sellout. So I hope you agree this is a very, very significant sector. Now the truth is, technology has not found its way into that sector. And therefore, there's hardly any kind of utilization. Is it on supply chain? Is it on customer relationship management? Is it on whatever you've seen in other industries? It did not really happen in that industry. And one of the key questions we had 3 years ago is, well, there might be a simple reason for that. There is none. That's not true. There are plenty. And actually, we would say there are hundreds, actually there are thousands of those solutions. We conducted a program together with a company called Techstars from the United States, from Boulder, Colorado, to help some of these companies to grow and come up to better size and actually a more sophisticated model. And you see many of those logos. I will touch upon a few in a second. However, they themselves can hardly grow. Why? Because the attention paid is little and the vocabulary used is strange. So if I, as an entrepreneur, approach one of my fellow customers and would say, I can improve your working capital with this tool, this will actually improve your cash flow, and you're going to be a much happy person. Want a coffee? Water? But, I'm busy. And this is the problem. The problem is it's a very diversified and fragmented industry, and you need trust to open a dialogue. You need relationship to start to enhance what people do, and that's where we come into play. Metro is not claiming we are the innovators, we are creating all these ideas. Metro is saying we will give you a bridge you can cross to meet the many, many people we know, and we have a reach which is above 60% to the industry, so we can play a role. So why should that be a role that plays into sustainability? I give you at least one example. I give you two. Senso is one of the second batches of the Textile Accelerator program. It is a temperature monitoring tool that ensures that the whole chain from production into your place is completely on record. So you will never have any marginal doubt whether the quality is safe, because all of this has been recorded with that small chip. Very simple one, very intuitive, easy to follow. Give you one which is a bit more difficult to really get why this is sustainability. Orderbird is one of our investments. Orderbird is an electronic point of sales. It was invented because it makes the experience easier for the waiter. The waiter comes to you, takes the order is immediately in the kitchen, speed and velocity is improved, but also my proximity to the customer. I can stay with the customer and I can continue to talk and build relationships. So I'm not stressed, I don't need to run back and forth, back and forth. At the end of the day, at night, I have all the data in my system. That's also beneficial. So this is all good. But the point is, there's much more you can do. First of all, and we started to work on that, we can give you every morning your good morning news. And your good morning news will be, was a good day, turnover up X%. Those have been the best dishes. Table 1 to 15, fantastic turnover. Table 16 to 20, not that good, talk to the waiter. We will also tell you, you were sold out on that dish at 7:30. Your replenishment doesn't work. We did one thing which was completely crazy at the CIRA, the food service exhibition in Lyon. We showed on that cockpit the break-even curve for the business. Now, the large operators have that all the time. Now, we did it for a small business. We broke down the menu with a cost of goods sold. Typically, the owner says, it's impossible, because everybody does it differently. And you say, yes, but with a variance of X%, that doesn't matter. So you calculate the cost of goods sold. I can calculate the contribution margin. I show you the day in the month when you break even. Now, you still might wonder, Olaf, what has that to do with sustainability? Now, the point comes now. If I know the material used and I know the inventory, I can replenish like a factory does replenishment. And the error rate on overstocking will come down massively. And we all know shrinkage still remains one of the biggest issues in that industry, because right now supply chain management is still conducted like this, with a thumb. This will change. We are not claiming that we will change, but we are saying we will make a contribution for that change and trying to help that industry to get access to those many new tools. Now, to conclude, we are also very glad and happy to say that while we, in the year 2013, were not even listed in many of the sustainability metrics, we have been now honored to be industry leader in the Dow Jones Sustainability Index for 2 years in a row. Honestly, we feel pleased by that. This is an honor, but on the other side, I tell you one thing, this is nothing else than an obligation, because we know we need to improve if we want to stay on that level. And therefore, thank you for your kind attention.
I want to be honest, it's rare to see leaders in sustainability. Honest leaders. Today we've seen one, and I'm particularly grateful for that. It fills me with hope that we can continue in this line of reasoning, and you've all understood sustainability can make good economic sense. Now, when you decide to leave now, you would please be so kind to give us an indication whether you like this event or not when you're leaving. If you're staying, which I warmly recommend, we will continue in just a few minutes with the next event for today, which is hosted by the École Hôtelière in Lausanne. I think it's fair to say the leading hospitality address in Europe when it comes to education. And please stay with us for this next very exciting event. Thank you.